This is Hamza again, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a dedicated tutorial for an eyeshadow with color. And I think this is important because eyeshadow is that one thing that I struggled the most when I was starting to do my makeup. And it's really frustrating for me because I've always wanted to do an eyeshadow with color, but I just can't achieve it. And there are a couple of reasons why I'm really having a hard time. And I thought I'll share my tips. First, I have hooded eyes. And because I have hooded eyes, the shadow just doesn't show up. When I open my eyes, it disappears. And second, it's really hard for me to follow tutorials on YouTube because most of the MUAs or beauty gurus have big eyelid space. And I just don't know where to start, where to begin, how to end it, and how to fit it to my eye shape. And then another thing is I like glam makeup. I like makeup that really makes me the best version of myself more than an art piece. And I just can't find the balance between a glam makeup and at the same time an eyeshadow with color. And I've always been jealous whenever I see pictures on Instagram, like, how do they make this glam? And she has pink eyeshadows, and it's hard for me to achieve that because when I do that, I look like I have a pink eye. So there is that. And I'm gonna share some tips aside from the actual application, like the colors that you should be choosing and stuff. Anyways, that's a lot of stuff. That's a long intro, but at least you know what you're signing up for on this video. And if you like this video, don't forget to click on the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and click on the like button on the video, leave your comments, and also click on the notification bell icon so that you will be notified every time that I upload videos. Okay, so let's go and start the tutorial. Okay, so I know that some of my viewers are my friends who are really starting with makeup and don't own a big collection. So I'll try to make this as simple as possible. This is literally a very simple tutorial with very simple things that you will be needing. And the first thing you will be needing is your base. And for your base, you can use a concealer. Any concealer that you're currently using would actually work. But if you wanted the pigment to be there, you might want to use a concealer that's lighter than the concealer for your under eye or for your highlight shade. And the one that I'm using right now is not a concealer. This is an eyeshadow base, and this is P. Louise base. And this is actually very popular. I have the shade Rumor 01, which is a pale white, and that's okay. That's okay to have white base for your eyeshadow. It would just improve the pigmentation, or the color would just really show up. And the second thing is you will be needing at least 2 brushes. You'll just be needing a buffer brush. So this is the one that you will use for your transition. And this is just really gonna be enough, whether you're building or you're just blending, this is actually really gonna work. And then second is a compact eyeshadow brush that looks like this. And this is the easiest eyeshadow brush to find in the mall, in drugstore, because almost every brush looks like this. Just as long as it's a compact brush, because that's gonna pick up shimmers better than this brush. So let's start with the tutorial. Like I said earlier, I'm going to apply my base first, and how I do my base is I don't apply on both sides at the same time. I'm going to do one after I finish one eye. And the reason is that I don't want my my base to really crease on the other side while I'm doing the other one. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to try to apply this using my hand. And I'll apply really little of this because this is very pigmented. I'm going to blend this. I'm using the Morphe M173. I always have to look up my brushes because I am not really familiar with their names, but I know what they look like. And then I'll try to really extend the base so that in case I need to extend my eyeshadow, then I won't have a problem with the blending because they have the same base. To be honest with you, my nose is freaking itchy right now. I just don't want to ruin my makeup. I don't think I'm the only one struggling with that sometimes. It gets really itchy, it's annoying. Okay, now that we have our base, the next thing we will do is we will do our transition shade. So the palette that I'm using is the Morphe X James Charles Artistry palette. I know it's not really on the cheap side or drugstore, but I feel like if you're starting with makeup and you want to find something that's really going to be useful for you, it's that palette. This is everything you need in a palette. You can come up with a bronze look, neutral look. You can also come up with a festive look. Everything you need is in this palette, and it's very beginner friendly. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so using this palette, I'm going to start with this. I don't have the shade names. I lost like the plastic that comes with shade names. But I'm using this brown shade here. I don't know what it's called, but it's really not cool tone, just really in the middle of warm and cool tone. And I think that's perfect for the eyeshadow that I'm going for, which is a blue eyeshadow. Okay, so I'll start with this. And again, I'm using the buffer brush, or I'm going to tap on the eyeshadow shade very, very lightly. And I'll also tap the brush to remove excess powder because I'm using a base that's really going to emphasize the pigment, and I don't want it to be overly pigmented, just enough. So first, I'm just going to tap my lid and just like really test where I'm really going with this. And then I'm going to think about the shape that I think would be very flattering with my eye shape. So looking at this, it looks like since my eyes are like not looking lifted, I want it to look lifted. So I'm going to lift my eyeshadow and make a kind of like an Cleopatra eyeliner, just an eyeshadow, make a shape like this. Does that make sense? But that's what I'm going for. It's just not going to be extremely obvious because you want it to look extremely faded to the point that it's barely visible. Also, when you're doing your eyeshadow, aside from like really looking closely to your mirror, you also want to take a look at a little far from the mirror so you could see your actual face and what the eyeshadow does to your whole look. And that's really important because sometimes we can get too carried away in doing our eyeshadow. We get too really close, but then when you kind of look a little far from the mirror, you're just like, wait, this doesn't look right. So that's another tip. And then I'm going to blend this in a circular motion. That's really going to help the blending. If you feel like you need more to come up with the shape that you're really looking for, you can add more. Just make sure to tap the product to remove the excess. Okay, now I feel like I'm happy with this transition shade because I don't want to draw a very pigmented background to my shimmer or to my color or to my transition shade because it's just really going to overpower my eyes. Another thing that I discovered when doing my eyeshadow is I feel like the colors don't really work for me because I'm looking for that eyeshadow that's really going to open my eyes, or eye look that's really opening my eyes, because I feel like it makes you more beautiful or glam, if that makes sense. And whenever that I use an eyeshadow that's dark or like colorful, what it does is that it overpowers my eyes. My eyelid overpowers my actual eyes and it doesn't really open it. Instead, it closes it. And it's not really the kind of look that I'm really going for. Going for blue eyeshadow. And I'm going to use this blue shimmer here. So whenever that I'm using my shimmer, I can use the compact brush that I was showing earlier. 1 second. This one, or I can actually use my pinky finger because this is smaller and you can actually really pick up a product. And I feel like when you're applying with your finger, it shows much better than with a brush. But if you're in a hurry and you don't want your hands to get dirty and you don't have time to clean up, you can actually use a compact brush. And it's best if you actually wet this with a setting spray. The pigmentation will be so much better. But let's try first using our finger. And I'm just gonna dip into the eyeshadow. I'm gonna start really slow with this. If you're not sure of the look that you're going for, you want to start at a very small space and then you can just blend it later so you would know up until where is your eyeshadow color. So I'm gonna start with this part of my eyes. As you can see when I'm using my finger, it's so much better. The pigmentation really shows. Then I can extend that further and try to blend it with my finger, but in terms of blending, we might need the compact brush or maybe the blending brush that we use for a transition shade. Also, whenever that you're applying an eyeshadow, you can actually bake this part of your under eye just to catch any fallout. I also want to insert regarding choosing the eyeshadow color you're going for, because that's another thing that's difficult for me. So I like a well put together makeup, like I said earlier, something glam and something you can wear in the red carpet. And whenever that I choose a color, I'm really having a hard time what colors I could really go for. And tip is, are there certain colors that you can actually feel safe about using? Like for example, a blue eyeshadow can really work if you're wearing white shirts, or if you're wearing a very toned down colors or very neutral colors, beige, white, black, it would really, really work. And if you want to go for like monochromatic look, you can match your eyeshadow with your outfit, and that's gonna make your look very put together. A monochromatic look always works, or a pop of color in a neutral overall look also really works. Another thing that I discovered in terms of using color, like eyeshadows with color, so hard for me to, I don't know like what it's called, but I couldn't say colorful, but because I'm only using like one color at the same time. But another thing that you might want to do if you're going for like a more festive look, in terms of using, in terms of choosing shades, sometimes it can be really confusing, especially when you're seeing a big palette like this. Like, where am I going to start? Like, what am I going to choose? So again, go back to the basic, go back to what kind of main color you're really looking for. In my case, I want the blue to really, to really pop. So after you choose the main color you're going for, then choose the transition shade. You can either go for neutral, which I'm going for because it's the safest, or you can actually choose the color next to the main color. What does that mean? So look at the color wheel, and then I'll try to put it here, but you will definitely see the gradient effect on how the colors were blended or like go next to each other. Example would be yellow and orange really look good together, because once you blend into your eyelid, they look really blended and put together. So I hope that really makes sense. Okay, so now that we have that, I feel like what we can do next is we can actually really blend this. And I'm going to use the blending brush we used earlier, tap it on our eyeshadow. Really, like, you want to get really few product just to blend it. And then you want to buff the brush at the back of your hand to remove the products that you just used earlier, and you want no eyeshadow from that brush. And I'm gonna get a little bit because I feel like the gap here could be filled in. Also, whenever that I do my makeup, I tend to put all the products in my hand and not let go of them, even if I don't use it. And sometimes I could get really confused. Sometimes I put the product on my thighs, and I'm like, where's the product? Where's the product? And they're all just under my thighs. That's a bad practice, and I should really fix that. Okay, so I think I'm okay with this kind of look, but I want to elevate it. One thing that I also find to be challenging whenever that I'm doing eyeshadow with color, I've said that so many times, but whenever that I'm going for like a colorful look, whatever, I lose the dimension of my eyes. And sometimes I want dimensions, and that's why I really lean towards a neutral look, because with brown colors, you can create shadows and you can create dimensions. So what I do is sometimes I go for like for example, this blue look, and blue eyeshadow look, I'm gonna go for something darker than this, but still blue. I'm gonna try to use it as an kind of like an eyeliner and just like add dimension on this part of my eye just to lift it. And I'm using again the compact brush. Whenever that you're putting on eyeshadow and just kind of like identifying the shape of your eyes, if you have hooded eyes like mine, as you can tell, my crease stops here. But if I stop my eyeshadow here and I open my eyes, it's going to disappear. So you want to go a little above that area. I've seen a lot of tutorials for hooded eyes. Like for example, Niku tutorial, she has hooded eyes. And I thought I could really follow her. The problem that I have is that I actually have excess fats in my eyelid. So I cannot create another crease there because I'm gonna look a little cray. It doesn't look great for me. So for those who have similar hooded eyes with excess fats, I think that this kind of look and kind of eyeshadow shape and blending could actually really work for you. So I'm just really gonna finesse this. What I'm just gonna do next is I'm gonna add eyeliner. I'm gonna go for like a wing liner and then put on my lashes, and then the whole thing is just gonna really blend together and really look put together. I said put together a lot of times, but that's really just a major part of my vocabulary. Anyways, guys, I'll be back once my other eye is done and put on some lashes and eyeliner and mascara and also my lipstick, and you're gonna see the whole look. So I am back and this is the final look. So as you noticed, my eyeshadow this time looks a little bigger and I forgot to film it. But what I did was I kind of like fixed the shape because after I put on some lashes, I feel like I need to extend the eyeshadow on the upper crease. I mean, closer to my brow bone because it doesn't really show up. So that's very simple to do. Use the same blending brush that you use when you're blending the neutrals. I mean, your transition shade. And just tap in again a little bit on the blue and then just like really buff it in and just like really blend it. And that's just how you extend the eyeshadow. So that's the look and I'm happy with it so far. It's not something I'm really like leaning towards to, but it's definitely something that I will go for whenever that I'm looking for a different look. Thank you so much guys for watching my video. And don't forget again to click on the subscribe button and the like button if you like this video. Leave a comment, whatever you want to see on my next video, and also the bell notification button so that you will be notified every time that I upload. Again, this is Hamsa and I hope you guys enjoy your week. Bye!